one other comment that I want to point out, and again, not a question. This is from David Robles, and I'll put some reference to this. This was on the Amazon Fire tablet video. He said, 2 gigs of RAM is not what I expect in a tablet in 2018. I found this comment really interesting because I'm trying to understand where he's coming from. You know, because on one end of the spectrum, I understand what he's saying. In this day and age, like 2 gigs of RAM is not enough for anything. Like should have more RAM. 4 gigs of RAM is like minimum for phones. That's what it should be. But a lot of phones even now have 2 gigs of RAM. And the problem is like, here's where I take issue with this comment. Number one, the Amazon Fire tablet is like an amazing deal. And a tablet of that price, only having 2 gigs of RAM, or having up to 2, to me, that's an amazing deal. Because 2 gigs of RAM is plenty for that price tag, which is like $150. And I think that's plenty for that. But here's the big thing. The tablet market is dying. And like the only way companies are selling tablets right now is if they are willing to slash their prices. Even Apple is having to slash their prices on their tablets. They have a $329 iPad now. And that one, guess what? How much RAM it has, Mikey?
2 gigs?
It has 2 gigs.
Yeah.
And a tablet that is now half the price of that one also has 2 gigs. You know, and so I understand his point. Like, I would like to have more RAM, but I think in this day and age, like with tablets dying, like they're just trying to figure out how to make these things cheap, and RAM is just one of those corners that they cut. I would like more RAM though. What do you think about this, man?
I mean, I have to agree. I definitely would like more RAM, but I mean, I have to agree with you. Tablets are dying off. They're just not as popular. You know, now that we can get laptops for a lot lighter and a lot smaller, you know, you don't really need that whole tablet feature. I mean, one of the main reasons you had that is because carrying around a laptop was so big and bulky, you know. But now that you can get a MacBook Air, and like my wife has a MacBook Air, and even with her protective case on it, I feel like feels like the same weight as my iPad Pro. So it's like, why have this iPad Pro when I could just carry around the MacBook Air?
Yeah, it's weird. You know, you kind of felt like tablets were eating into laptops, but there are some things that like you need a laptop for. Like this podcast. I couldn't do that on an iPad. I mean, I guess you could, but like it would be a pain. There's a lot of things that are just easier to do on a laptop. And then on your phone. Like there's just not a lot of room for tablets nowadays. And, you know, people, they don't want to spend $500 on a tablet anymore. They're done doing that. Like the iPad Pro, maybe. But when they're going to spend their money on a device, they're going to spend it on their phone or they're going to spend it on a computer. There's not much room for the in-the-middle device, I think. So I still think the Amazon Fire tablet is an amazing deal. It's got really good performance. Amazon did an amazing stereo speakers, 2 gigs of RAM, pretty fast processor, like, and a 1080p screen. It's an amazing deal. Like, I don't have any complaints over the 2 gigs of RAM. For that price tag, I could not expect them to put any more RAM in it. But I do get your point. But I just think that's just how it's going to be. If the tablet market is going to survive, they have to figure out ways to cut corners to make it cheaper to where people are willing to shell out the cash. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, maybe take a second, hit that like button below. If you really liked it, hit the subscribe button. We'll have clips like this one coming out every single day of the week, and if you want the full podcast experience, this week we talked about Elon Musk sending his car into space, we talked about my experience at Celebration of Harry Potter, and a lot of other cool stuff. We had a lot of fun with the show. It's the Search for Awesome podcast. There will be a link coming up on the screen in just a second to the full show, and also to my main channel, which is the Search for Awesome, where I do reviews and I host the main podcast. And in the description, there are links to the full podcast in the audio form on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I guess I'll see you around next time.